Didn't have to avoid coming out in public here.
I see the how are you today? Would you like one of these?
Yeah,
Yes.
the horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea.
What's that? Oh.
The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea.
Yeah.
What is Cleveland?
She likes to talk all the
Pam,
all the time. Okay, it's called Pilgrim's, yeah, that's the word right there.
I know, or
It's not in our hymn book.
not in our hymnal.
It's not in our hymn book.
What's it called?
Pilgrim's hymn.
Not in our hymnal. Not back then.
Yeah, it wasn't even warm in there, it was cold, but so was the entire. It was too.
Who's this good looking young man?
Chilton. Yeah, you might want to say that.
So you must be in the camp.
Yeah,
Am I guessing brothers?
brother-in-law.
Oh, you guys look
Clarissa
like
is my
each other.
sister.
Yeah.
I think you look more like her.
Yeah.
Is this your son?
Yeah.
Hi, welcome. How old are you? Really? So that means you're senior? What? You know where you're going? No way. So cool. Congratulations. Yeah. Hope you like the heat. I'm sure it'll be great.
Either make you or break you.
So is he your younger brother or your older brother?
No, he was like.
Okay. Okay, but when you're. They probably Yes. We're just. She's over there. Trying to hide from you.
How are you doing?
So hopefully that's something that's healing.
Yeah. We know where to find it. Oh.
Not yet, I am home.
Thanks, buddy. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. It's a privilege for me to discuss with you and share our testimonies and that kind of thing. It really is. I love you. I hope you can not only see that, hear that in my words, and see it in my eyes, but I hope I act on that love sometimes. So thank you for being who you are. Let's introduce a couple of visitors. We usually don't do that, but because, to be honest, sometimes we're like, sure, but I know Sister Draper has some visitors here.
Yeah.
Would you like to introduce your relatives here, please?
Sure. This is my brother Robert and his wife Melanie and their son Benson.
Who has his mission call, by the way, to Panama. When do you leave?
I'll start home MTC June 17th and leave July 6th.
And bless you, parents, for home MTC. I'm not sure I would have been very good at that as a parent. And I know I wouldn't have been very good at that as a young elder. So congratulations, yes.
Having been through it, it's a fabulous experience.
I think that the
It
Lord
brings the
does
spirit into
that.
the home so much. I love it.
I'm sure that's why Heavenly Father is doing it. So thank you for that testimony and great things to look forward to. Awesome. And Sister Wilma. Hannah, is it Hannah? I recognize, but I think you have some other visitors here too.
Yes, my parents are here with us.
Are they from Panguitch by any chance? Are they the
Years
Panguitch?
ago, yeah, we're not anymore. but
Okay. Oh, the Kansas.
we're
No,
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Southeast Oklahoma.
Southeast. Okay, I know where that is then. Awesome. I went to basic training at Fort Sill, but that's not southeast. Right?
No, you a couple hundred miles.
It's only a couple hundred
Where
then.
we're at.
Okay, so, well, thank you all for being here. Did I miss any visitors that are here? I probably won't do that every week, but I'm thrilled to have you here today. I'm Brother Whittier. Let's talk about the gospel. Let's start with an opening prayer though. Brother LeBlanc, how would you like to do that?
Yeah.
Would you open for us, please? Got you way back in the corner. Next time we'll get Sister LeBlanc for Dave.
I like that idea. I'll remind that.
All right.
Dear Heavenly Father, we're very grateful for this Sabbath day. We're very grateful for this opportunity we have to come and partake of the sacrament and renew our covenants and to learn more and come closer unto Thee through Your gospel. We ask that You bless all of us here, the listeners and the teacher, that we'll all be able to participate and make this a great lesson. And please bless us this day as we return home later, that we'll continue to keep the Sabbath day holy, and we'll be able to use this as a good day. And these things we say in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. You know, I hope I did. What a story here, huh? This week, big criminy, and I remember loving this story as a kid, as a little boy, and as a young man, and as an adult. But once again, I'm so grateful for Come Follow Me and the way it helps me to see how it applies to me, Ray Whittier. Thousands of years later. So I hope you have those same kind of experiences, because it's a lovely thing. So let's talk a little bit about this wonderful, amazing story that we've learned about ever since we were babies. What are some of the, I need to go like this. Let's do historical context first. Of course, this is the Israelites. They've just been released from Egypt, and now they're going across the desert. As I understand it, I am no expert, but as I understand it, at least according to Brother Halverson, they didn't have to go across the Red Sea to get where they were getting. I don't know for sure. I imagine Brother Montgomery knows, but he said the Lord directed them there to make a point. Okay? At least that's the way Brother Halverson talked. So they're going across the desert, and they go across the Red Sea and then into the desert and the wilderness, and a couple of miracles there that happened as they were crossing. They haven't got to the promised land yet. I imagine that's coming pretty soon. But anyway, an amazing story. And if you look at here at Stephen's iPad, is this a Kindle? But look at that wilderness. I mean, let's all go there, right? Doesn't look fun to be in. So that's the Red Sea, but you can see how I guess what that would be to us. But you know, it's they're I'm sure they're really excited to get going. So now here's a little bit of a different question that I'd like to start using from now on. What types of Christ and his teachings did you find in your study this week? Let's especially look for types of Christ. Things that symbolize him and help us learn of him and his ways. What are some of these things? Brother Montgomery.
The tree that was that healed the bitter waters.
I think it's called Mara.
Yeah.
I you know what? I am not an Old Testament expert. I'm not an expert on anything. Just ask my wife. But that name I remembered. Don't know why. But the tree branch in Mara that turned the bitter to sweet. Turned the bitter water to sweet. How does that represent Christ?
Well, who was hung on the cross? Who was hung on a tree? It was Jesus Christ.
And what happened as far as this represents?
He can heal us from death and destruction. Which, by the way, the Israelites, when they were stuck between Pharaoh and his armies and the Red Sea, they were facing death and destruction, and they, as the Apostle Paul puts it in 1 Corinthians 10, they were baptized in the Red Sea. They went through the Red Sea were baptized figuratively
Mhm.
and were healed and escaped death, which our baptism, we escape death too.
So, in a couple of ways, like I mentioned here. How many of you have, please raise your hand, how many of you lost a loved one to death? I guess what we should ask is, anybody not? I think we all have.
We lost our, remember last year, we lost our uncle
Yeah.
Clay.
Mhm. Did you love him?
Lung cancer.
Because lung cancer.
Did you find hope because of Christ that you'll be able to see him again?
Yeah.
Absolutely. How devastating life must be without a testimony of Christ and what he has done for us and what he continues to do for us. Thank Heavenly Father for they say it some way in the New Living Christ, for the incredible gift of his Son, turning bitter to sweet, that we have hope beyond this life to see our loved ones again. What's another type of Christ that we saw in this? Yes, Brother Demke, thank you.
I don't know if you've seen this one, but I think the manna is the greatest, one I like the most.
2 N's or 1?
2 and
H or not?
I think
No H, right?
No age.
Okay, Brother Demke, please keep
I
going.
can explain this.
Uh-huh.
Okay, there's 3 mannas. Okay,
Manna.
the one that comes every day in testimony of Jesus Christ being with you every day. Next one, it comes once a week, and that's the testimony prior to the Sabbath, at the last 2 days. The third one is the most important, and this is one that Jesus Christ may explain in the, other scriptures, was a living manna, the one that actually represents Jesus Christ, the true living manna. And it's the one that lasts forever. And it was put in a jar and put in the Holy of Holies. I mean, it's incredible.
So many things to talk about with manna. So many. And hopefully we'll have a little bit of time to talk about that, but certainly he is the bread of life, Christ is. Thank you for that testimony. The one that lasts, the bread that lasts forever. And if we'll eat it, not just eat it, but yes, immerse ourselves in it. It will last forever. This I know. Thank you for your testimony. Another type of Christ. Anyone, please. Yes.
So I like the one where it talked about the pillar of cloud, the cloud pillar.
Mm-hmm.
So what's interesting with that one is because, right, to us, Christ is hope and he's light. And so for the Israelites, he was hope and he was light. But the interesting thing is to the Egyptians, it was darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes you've seen it of where you go, why don't you just accept Jesus Christ and the peace and the light? But sometimes people, they're either blinded by it or they just can't, they're reconciling it or they just feel more guilty or sinful. And so I feel like to some it is, Christ is the light, but some they just can't feel it and they're just blinded by it. But so that's an interesting one.
I hope that in all of us, especially in your missionary son, that this is one thing I learned on my mission just recently. More than when I was a kid. Don't wait that long, okay? But, oh, how we ought to feel empathy. And hurt, I guess, that's not maybe the right way to say it, but for those who don't have that. And how we ought to be trying, please. Golly. I've mentioned this before, but one of the most poignant scriptures that we have is when Christ is talking to Nephi. So I just read that in my water skiing through the Book of Mormon. How oft would I have gathered you as a hen gathered her chickens at her wings? And you would not. That's the saddest words in history. Really quickly, please. But what was, I think it was a general conference talk. It was Elder Clark who quoted that hymn, lovingly, tenderly, Jesus is calling to you and to me. Come home. Come home. So tender. No wonder he was a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, because he was being rejected on the right hand and on the left. People who only saw darkness, who couldn't just comprehend light, who will continue to have chances. He will never give up. He relentlessly pursues us. But let's be some of those then here. Let's be some of those that help him in that pursuit. Okay? Yes, Brother Rasmussen.
The difference in perspective and the empathy in that. I had a lot of problems with that. Simple, basic things. People, do things. And you're like, why would you even do that? It makes no sense. And I was having a real difficult time with some of this stuff. And someone taught me something that's stuck with me, that's helped me change my perspective on it. And it simply said, if you were raised the way they were raised and taught the way they were taught, you would think the way they thought. Mm-hmm. And it just brought it all to me that we all have different perspectives on things. We look at things from different angles, and they look like completely different things, even though it's the exact same thing. And so it's to help understand that they aren't looking at it like you are. It's like, this is the best thing ever now. Yeah, I don't know about that. And it's coming around and helping shift perspectives of that. I think, for me, it helped me understand a lot more of people and why they do things the way they do, and why I do things the way I do. And it greatly helped me understand this stuff.
Some of us, most of us, I think, because, and I sort of guess this, postulate this, that you're here because of some of the things your parents did. I'm forever grateful for my parents that taught me the gospel and helped me to see that light. But it took me many, many decades to understand and to have empathy for those people who didn't have that privilege and who, because of the circumstances they were raised in, were making some of the choices that they did. And so I appreciate that thought because it is real. I saw it all the time as a principal in an elementary school, all the time. So I'm grateful to Heavenly Father, the God of second chances and third chances and hundreds of chances, because He takes that into consideration. He takes that into consideration when He judges and when He blesses and when He helps and when He teaches. He takes all that into consideration. This I know. So thank you. Let's talk any other pipes. We're knocking them out here. Pipes of Christ. Yes, Sister
I'll
Ruth.
probably need some help to develop this.
Hey, let's do it.
I think the rod
Oh.
Jesus has with me at all times, that is representation as the hand of God?
I think it represents his power in the hand of God. I'm sure that, the Lord really could have done all those things. He continues to work through men and women to do the things he wants to have done on. But he could have done that himself. He didn't need Moses' rod to make the Red Sea part. He didn't need Moses' rod to show some of the signs and symbols to the Egyptians. But he used that because many people learn better that way. Okay? And because, I don't know for sure, and because he wanted to teach of his coming. Watch, see, understand. Thank you. Yes, Stephen.
In 1 Nephi chapter 1, verse 20, it said, and when the Jews heard these things, they were angry with him, yea, even as with the prophets of old, whom they had cast out and stoned and drained, and they also sought his life, that they might take him away. But behold, I, Nephi, will show unto you that the tender mercies of the Lord are over all those whom he hath chosen, because of their faith, to make them mighty, even unto the power of deliverance.
So power right there. He's talking, Stephen's scriptures talked a lot about the power of God and how some people could see it. Some people couldn't. But again, I'm confident that there will come a day when the Egyptians, even the Pharaoh, will say, now I get it. Now I get it. Okay? Now, maybe that's already happened, but it will happen, I'm confident. And he'll be able to make that choice and say, I accept it or I don't. Okay?
Related to the rod and the hand of God is the right hand. It says in the Song of Moses in chapter 15, it talks about the right hand doing things, and Christ is a type of that right hand.
Thank you. Yeah, the Song of Moses, that's something, huh? I was going to make a point of a couple of things that were in there, and then I didn't, but I'll leave that up to the rest of you if we decide to do that. But really, here's the deal. Sister Justin Gallego understands this, probably better than most of us, but many of you do too, that the song of the heart is a prayer unto me. And how music, that's how I can see Moses that's why they wanted to sing, because it brings out feelings that just can't go with regular words. How can I keep from singing? That hymn. Many of you, maybe all of you, but music brings things forward, feelings in our heart that just don't happen with regular words. Okay? I think my own opinion, it's just nothing but my own opinion, but there will come a day when we'll understand how that works. There will come a day after the resurrection, after we've been taught for a few millennia, we'll understand how music, why it's different. Why when you go up and down with the tone of your voice and that kind of thing, why that's different. And why that feels different inside us. When we hear words put to music.
I wished we knew how the Israelites would sing this song and their instruments that they used or didn't use or whatever. And the same thing with the Psalms. I wished we knew better how they sounded.
Just, someday we will.
Someday
know,
we will.
I can understand a little bit about why they sang after they were rescued from the Egyptians. I can understand a little tiny bit. And it'll be neat to hear that. And we'll be singing that someday. We'll be singing to welcome Christ. Okay? I'm confident of that. I've considered the thought that wouldn't it have been cool if I was in that host of angels singing when the Lord was born? Maybe some of you have thought about that. I think there's every possibility that we were there. We were so excited that finally here it is. And so the Lord, Heavenly Father, went to God, well, you can go, but you can't, And we all just said, let's all go. Come on. There's things to be sung here. Sister Rasmussen.
Really is why I love to sing in the choir, because you see that hand of the Lord in working with us and teaching us new songs, and the spirit that I feel as I'm singing it, it just is amazing. And so, if you want to join the choir,
there you go.
Just
recruiting.
It really is.
Nothing wrong with that.
It's amazing to see us come from barely being able to pick out the song to being able to.
And I'm sure you'll testify to this. Anybody who's been in a work choir will testify to this. That you'll get to a certain point, and you'll be in your practices and stuff like this, and you'll think, okay, we're pretty well ready and that kind of thing. And almost without, I don't know of an exception, when we sing in sacrament meeting or something, the perfection of that, it's not perfect, you know that, but the perfection of that goes up a level or two, just because the angels are singing with us. And we're trying to worship, and the Lord's Spirit is there in the meeting. That communication goes up a level or two.
So are you really trying to say that if we want to get ready for the second coming, we need to join the Lord's choir?
You know what? Let's just say that. I'm all right with that.
In the Psalm about the prophet in the church number, verse 5 is that Moses was a prophet he sent to Israel. He would lead them to the promised land to dwell. They were slow to follow, or so it appears. They were in the wilderness for 40 years.
That's right. 40 years. And they still followed him. That's quite the deal. Do any of you wonder if you would have kept going in yourself, a little bit of a self examination or something,
Like I kept going on like a lot of YouTube videos every day.
Endure to the end kind of thing, huh? Yeah.
Until toward to my end of my time on earth, being age of 130 years old, then I.
Awesome. Sister Demke and then Brother Rasmussen.
Just when you said that, do you ever wonder if you would have kept going? I wonder if I'll keep going today.
Right.
Yeah.
They say.
So I don't even have to worry about thinking about me back then.
They were not. But we, you've heard the thing where they said, oh, I would die for Christ. Well, will you live for him? Will you endure to the end? Yeah, hard to live. I have a brother that is just near and dear to me still. But he passed away when I was 56, I think, and he was 58. It was more than 10 years ago. And I kind of think, there are times when I kind of think, well, how come he gets to do that and I don't? It's been very, very hard on our family, but You know, kind of like, you know, now he's got it easy compared to what we have to do here. You know, he never had to put up with some of the stuff even though it's more than 10 years ago, and things were wild and crazy back then, but they're wilder and crazier now. So let's keep going. Let's endure to the end. Shall we? Keep on going, Brother Rasmussen.
You asked that question, and it popped into my head a personal perspective of mine, that Moses was kind of like the father of the Israelites at that point. And,
they really looked on him like that, I think.
And I look now, you know, I've crossed the 40-year-old mark in my life, and yeah, my father has passed away, but I'm still following in his footsteps.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. That's just so true. That we hope our children will continue to do what's right, even though we're not there. You know, so great job for just thinking about him. I do myself. You know, my dad's passed away long ago, and I just think, just help me to keep going like he did. Just help me to keep going. Yes, Brother Moses.
The thought that crossed my mind also with the Israelites following Moses there for the 40 years in the wilderness. They went through the refiner's fire at the beginning of that. So there were a lot of the rebellious that weren't with them.
Right.
The one
I heard, is that true that that's why they were there for 40 years, because the first generation died out by then? Is that true?
Generation, yes.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
None of the first generation came through.
Because of
Cleansing.
the provocation.
Okay. The first provocation.
The provocation is, as the scriptures call it, the provocation that when they tried to kill Moses when they were
Stone him. Yeah.
And
false prophet.
The provocation they did while they were in the wilderness.
I think that Joseph Smith could sort of relate to that. Yes.
Well, they also went to the land of Canaan, and but at the beginning of that, and they didn't have the faith. They didn't feel like they were going to be able to go in and do what needed to be done, and so the Lord said, "Fine."
There are so many lessons in this. I mean, it's right and left and up and down and backwards and forward. I mean, over and over and over again. You know, I'm guessing, again, like I say, you know more about the Old Testament, but that story will come up when they send the spies in, and they come back and say, "Oh, no, we can't do this." Yeah, they just barely, in the reading this week, it talks about the Amalekites and how they keep, they have to keep beating them up.
Yeah.
And how the Lord preserves them when they have to do that fighting, but still they didn't believe it when it came to going in there.
And if I remember right, I think Moses was even part of that.
He was part of the rebellion?
Well, not part of the rebellion, but part of not having the faith
to go.
To where God said, "You will not live in the land of Canaan."
Well, but prophets are infallible, right? Prophets aren't real people. They never make mistakes. So,
So, I mean, it was all of that generation, including Moses, that
so many lessons he learned there.
And that's why Joshua was able to go into the promised land. He was one that led them into the promised land, because he was part of them that went over, and he's like, "No, we can get these guys." I think there was another guy with him.
Caleb?
Two of them that said, "Yeah, we can get them," but everybody else was like, "No way." And why? Because they were giants. They were like Goliath. And so they were afraid of him. I mean, we've been learning about David and Goliath in school, and I'm like, yeah, remember in this lesson when we're talking about when they're trying to go over to the Canaanites, it's because they were huge. They were like as tall as the ceiling.
Arnold Freeberg big.
They were big.
They were bigger than that.
Bigger than that. They were Arnold Freeberg big.
Like 9 feet tall was the small side of things, and so they were afraid.
I hope that you're not thinking that by my smile that I'm thinking, "Oh, I wouldn't have been like that," because I just hope I wouldn't have been. Yes.
Well, and truly, it kind of connects, I guess, what you were talking about a little bit ago, But I do feel like one of the saddest things is, like it said, so they're taken out of Egypt, and it goes about, wherefore hast thou dealt with us and carried us into Egypt? We'd much rather just serve the Egyptians than to die here in the wilderness. But it does make me think about, because we talked about a little bit about enduring, and I do feel like the rod is just that representation of, this is a physical representation to remind you that you're not doing it alone, that my power is extended towards you. This is what I'm willing to give you. And it always reminds me, my husband loves to quote this one but President Holland said, he said, surely nothing saddens the Lord more than when we refuse the help that he just willingly bestows upon us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you see that over and over again here, and I think you see it over and over again in our lives, of how many times in a sorrow, all these things are natural feelings that we feel, but how many of us sit in it and we stay there like Enoch and refuse to be comforted when God is saying, look, come, look up, rejoice, like, come to me. I know this is hard. It'll continue to be hard. But trust me, like, I left you signs in my hands that you can trust me. Trust in my care. But then how often is it, no, but they would not. And just this constant murmuring, constant doubting. And I do feel like, I just feel like when I read it, I go, I'm so similar. And it is so sad, I think, of just what God is just bursting forth with joy and with healing. And how often do they not take it? And how often do they not see the hand of God? And they don't understand the rod. They don't understand the cloud. Just all these things that just kind of go past them and kind of go past us too.
Let's take some time right now to go to that part about the Red Sea, because I'd like to talk about that a little bit. Speaking of that, there's so many types of Christ in this. But let's go down here to the Lord parting the Red Sea. Let's open up our scriptures to chapter 14 in Exodus 20, and then let's read these verses. So let's look that up, if we could please, and let's read through those. It just tells the story about how that went. So we're looking at verses 21 through 23 to start out with. How about Sister Riggs? Can you read that for us, please? 21 through 23.
And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. And the Egyptians pursued and went in after them to the midst of the sea, even all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen.
So much there. Okay, here's the deal. Okay, I was just sort of curious, and we've seen the cartoons and the Ten Commandments and that kind of thing, but I looked it up and it said the average depth of the Red Sea is 1,600 feet. That's not 400 or 500. That's 1,600 feet deep. And so theoretically, you're walking through this and you have 1,600 feet up of water on both sides. Okay? Yeah, and it parted, and it's up there on these walls, like a wall was there. And then get this, the Egyptians didn't understand, and they're going, "Oh, okay, we'll go in too." And I'm kind of going, who would have thought to do that? Okay. Why would they feel that was going to be okay? I don't know. Let's go with Brother Demke and then Brother
It was a
Demke.
mighty miracle, because not only did he part the Red Sea, but it was dry.
How many of you have walked through a pond that's been a pond for a while? It is not dry. Even though there's no water, the mud is, and they walk through on dry ground. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Great point. Yes, Brother Rasmussen.
So, I'm just, where it says it parted it with the wind, I mean, the wind will help dry it out, but that wind had to keep blowing the whole time to hold it up, too.
Kind of like Enoch.
And so I'm like, man, that'd be a big wind tunnel going on.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
And then the chariots follow him in.
Well,
I'm just like,
my
what were you
thinking on
thinking?
that has always been that the Egyptians thought that they were superior to the Israelites. So they're like, well, if they can do it,
We can do it too.
we got this. We're better than them.
Let's go to 27 and 28 now, please. Let's see, who else has that? Who would like to read that for us? Would you read 27 for us, please, Alex?
Okay. And the mother drank before the hand on the returned to the drink when in the morning fear at the Jordan began in and the war on the Jordan in the midday and the wire returned and part of Simeon and the Hortman and all the whole of them that come unto the upper them that remain not so much one of them.
Thank you. Good brother. Thank you. So much to be learned there. Okay. And still the Israelites doubted. I hope that we can, again, sort of think that we're not, let's not be Egyptian, let's be more Christ-like than that, and just sort of think, and just sort of, in a positive way, not in a hurtful way, not in a way that's self-degrading, but just sort of think, Heavenly Father, help me to be among the believers. Help me to be one of those guys who would have seen, to have eyes to see. Help me and to have eyes to see now. Yes, Brother Rasmussen.
Now, this kind of ties into what we were talking about in Elders Quorum last week. The difference between seeing and experiencing physically versus seeing and experiencing spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
You can see and experience a lot physically, and it doesn't have near the effect. And you can change it, you can manipulate it, you can.
So many things.
You can alter it, but the things that are taught to you spirit to spirit, those don't change.
And, and that brings up a great point. I'm sitting here talking about why don't they believe the miracles? Well, guess what? Miracles, faith precedes the miracle, not miracle precedes the faith. Yes.
Well, as we talk about these like great experiences, it makes me so grateful for the scriptures that we have access to now. Like, these people did not have these stories.
They probably couldn't even read, right?
I mean, even throughout the Book of Mormon, you see like prophets referring back to Moses in this time period.
So many times.
And so, like, we really are in a time where we have so many scriptures and stories and history and experiences that, while they're not ours, we can seek the hand of God in like creating these amazing miracles. So I just feel like it's such a blessing that we have these scriptures to be able to fall back to. But then it also kind of reminds me of President Nelson's quote that like some of God's greatest miracles are still happening ahead now and still ahead. And so we talk about this experience, like, how are you going to top that? Like, that's not, I mean, we all wish we could have been here and experienced this. But I think, it makes us excited for the future, but also, like, these people did not have, like, they went through this, but they didn't have years and years and years of all this proof to show, like, I don't know. It makes me, like, it humanizes them for me, and it makes me a little bit more understanding of why they were so quick to forget and quick to like revert back to that complaining.
Great point.
Besides that, I kind of like the garlics and leeks in Egypt.
Well, I'm not sure what you mean. They're talking about why can't we go back to the garlics and the leeks?
Yeah, they complain because they like the garlics and the leeks in Egypt.
Oh.
I think it's important to remember that they didn't know the ending. We know their ending.
Mm-hmm.
They walked through the sea, which is a miracle for somebody to do.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know, it's going to close up, or are we going to close up? Are we going to drown right now?
They
we act like they were
forward.
idiots when in reality they were pretty awesome.
Well,
I don't know if we would do the things that they did and follow a prophet in the desert for
through 1,600 feet of water on both sides. That's a great point. And come follow me, the lesson this week. That's one of the things that really stood out to me is that, sometimes we can be critical of them because they're always complaining. But you know what? Maybe what we really ought to be doing is thinking, would I be the one that's not complaining? Would I be the Joshua?
And right now, what are we doing?
Right. That
We
brings
are
this
complaining.
up.
I mean, I know I complain all the time.
This-
I'm like, oh, man.
This, I don't think it's on this slide. This is compared, many of you, probably all of you know, but the parting of the Red Sea is compared to Revelation in the Doctrine and Covenants. And the Lord tells Oliver Cowdery, revelation will come to you just like Moses parting the Red Sea. And Elder Holland, in this talk that we referenced, Cast Not Away Therefore Your Confidence, he talks about how that can be taught, how revelation and how it comes can be taught to us through that story. And so I made some points on the sheet. We will not talk about that, but please go back and read that because it's, and go back and read the entire talk. What he's talking about? It's a BYU devotional. And he's talking about how people, those young people, would step forward, everything's going great, and then bad things happen. And they're going, oh, I've been doing everything right. What's the deal here? I graduated from school and I prayed about who my wife should be and all that kind of stuff. Things aren't going perfect. And he's saying, don't fall into the trap of thinking, okay, well, that must not have been true. He said, if it was true then, it's true now. So keep going. Well, we'll talk about that. I mean, we don't have time to talk about that, but I did want to bring up something that that a couple people have said here. Do we see the grand and glorious miracles that are around us all the time? Now, do we see those miracles that are happening in our lives right now? They're not like Moses parting the Red Sea, but maybe to some people they would be. Yes.
I think that it does, as I was studying this week, it did make me ponder on what it is that I whine and complain about and that upsets me. And if I can look at it as what it was for Moses and the Israelites, it was an opportunity for them to learn and to start to trust in the Lord, and to move forward with the Lord. And like they were saying, that first generation, they complained so much and doubted so often that the Lord did say, you guys aren't going in. And not a single one of them went in. It was their children that went in with Joshua. And so I think about my life and the difficult times that I go through, and I think, okay, I need to repent and do better and acknowledge that the Lord is teaching me. And if I'm willing to humble myself enough to find out what He's teaching me, that's the key. I'm not good at it, but I feel like that's important to do.
We need to be learning. Do we really have ears to hear and eyes to see and learn a lesson from this in our own lives? They didn't believe the miracle. Well, are you believing the miracles that are happening to you right now, all around you? Just the idea, I stand all amazed, just the idea that Christ would think of me when He was in the garden. How could that possibly be? Anyway, let's stand still and see those miracles. We've got a pondering question here that I wanted to get to. It's on your sheet. If you'd like to jot something down there or some other place. What are some of the miracles that surround me every day? And how can I show more gratitude to the Lord for those miracles? How can I learn from them? Okay? maybe consider that. One of my favorite songs is what we'll listen to as we think about that. Okay? It's called Pilgrim's Hymn. And it, in many ways, talks about a pilgrimage, but I never realized it. But aren't we all in a pilgrimage? From point A to point B, trying to get back home. And it talks in there, the words are, to me, very moving. And so I hope that you maybe can listen to that and get some inspiration about seeing the miracles in our pilgrimages and then showing more gratitude and more action because of what we see. I'm hoping that this all turns out okay when it comes to this without some sort of a, we've got at least it's not some really weird ad.
Blessing of those bestowed upon us. And we're grateful for the gospel principles that we've learned throughout this day. Yes, now please help us to keep the Spirit with us as we go throughout the week, that we will look for miracles and be grateful for them. And we're grateful for our prophet and for the many prophets before them, that we were able to learn from them, and as we follow them, continue to see miracles. And we ask that please bless us and travel home, that we will do so in safety. Also help us to recognize who is in need, and we'll be able to lift them up and help them understand the love that we have for them and the love that Jesus has for them. We say this in my son, Jesus Christ.
Amen. Thank you, everybody. Have an amazing week. Thanks, brother.